Welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shasheena Rolle. As always, it is so great to have you with us. A showdown over land ownership playing out this morning, and at the center of the controversy is a local family who's taking on principles of the Grand Bahama Port Authority and calling for justice. Joan Davis-Rolle reports.
The dramatic turn of events unfolded early Tuesday morning at the entrance of a gated community in Fortune Bay, known as Fortune Key, when irate resident Cedric Hepburn took a bulldozer and did the unthinkable. The situation coming to a head as Hepburn plowed through the entrance of the upscale community, sending shockwaves among Grand Bahama's elite, many of whom were barricaded in by boulders, which were subsequently placed at the only entrance into the private community. As residents attempted to move out, the police moved in. Their goal was to ensure that calm heads prevailed as they were seen speaking with the persons involved. ZNS News confirmed that the property in this private community is valued in the millions and is home to top executives of the port. Among the residents affected were local businessman Michael Edwards and chiropractor Dr. Kevin Bethel.
As a homeowner in this subdivision, I am being prevented from having access to my property. Something about that has to be wrong. So quite obviously, there will be other legal implication as it relates to me being denied access to my property at the time when I purchased from the Grand Bahama Port Authority. I got good, legal, and markable title. Was a fought all over the world over two things: land and religion. And I would admonish the Grand Bahama Port Authority to deal with this issue forthwith.
They've blocked the entrance, impeding the livelihood of the residents there, inability to get to work. The person who did it is obviously a coward because they did it and ran off. No one knows who did it. So we've asked the police to treat it as a terrorist activity.
However, for the Hepburn family, it was not a reign of terror, but was a situation which has escalated and is reportedly centered around a land dispute between the Hepburn family and the Grand Bahama Port Authority.
This is something that's been going on for a little while. I had a meeting with them last week, gave them the 7 days to reply back to us about this property situation, and this is the 8th day. So I'm showing them now what the situation is, so either they come forth or they make their stand out to try and figure out what is what, because the property doesn't belong to them, right? And they're turning us wrong and wrong and wrong every day.
What do you mean it does not belong to them? Explain to me.
Actually, it belongs to my father. Okay, two people can't have papers. He have papers, Crown Grant. They have their papers.
Hepburn says this ongoing saga with the port has reached a boiling point, and his family, who claims to have legal ownership to some 10 acres, has been embroiled in the land ownership dispute with the port for a number of years, and now they say they've had enough.
They didn't want it to go to court because they didn't want it to get to this, but now it gets to this now, so everyone in the Bagdale know that the property that they get, they don't have no real papers for their property. So wherever they get their papers from, we don't know. Okay, but it's a situation we need to get sorted out, and we need to get it sorted as quick as possible.
As residents stood in shock and disbelief, it was not until a senior police officer arrived at the scene that the boulders were eventually removed and residents were free to enter and leave. The Hepburns were reportedly headed to the port offices, but Cedric Hepburn contends that their fight is not over. Tell me a bit about what led to your decision now to remove the boulders.
Well, it's just temporary. Okay, so it could go back. If they already catch their sense now, they'll see exactly what's going on, but it's only moved temporary.
Joan Davis-Rolle, ZNS Network News.
Well, we contacted the Grand Bahama Port Authority for its side of the story, but we were told that the port's president, Ian Rolle, is off the island and would make a comment when he returns to office later this week. Well, less than 50% of the persons registered for yesterday's advance poll actually showed up to vote. Now, here's how the numbers stack up. In Central Grand Bahama, only 108 of the 222 eligible voters cast their votes, or that's 48.6%. 47.3% of the persons registered for the advance poll in East Grand Bahama constituency voted, or that's 104 persons of 222 220 persons. Now in Marcos City, 97 of the 199 voters took part in the advance poll, or 48.7%. In Pine Ridge, 107 of the 252 advance voters actually cast ballots, or 42.5%. And in West Grand Bahama and Bimini, only 29% of the registered advance poll voters showed up to vote yesterday. That's 27 of 91 registered voters. Now, persons who fail to show for the advance poll will have an opportunity to vote on referendum day next Monday, January 28th. Now, all eligible voters are reminded that they are to report to the same polling stations as in the May 7th general elections to vote in the referendum next week. All polling stations will remain the same for the 5 constituencies on Grand Bahama. That's with the exception of polling divisions 3, 4, and 5 in East Grand Bahama. Those persons are expected to vote at the Maurice Moore Primary School. And the search is underway for 2 suspects involved in an apparent armed robbery in the International Bazaar. Reports are that around 8:20 yesterday morning, a man was walking in the area of the International Bazaar when he was approached by 2 masked men clad in dark clothing. One of the assailants was allegedly armed with a firearm and robbed the man of a cell phone and cash. Police are actively investigating. Police in Abaco wants you to be on the lookout for 2 men of Haitian descent from a Haitian community in Abaco wanted for serious criminal offenses. 23-year-old Larry Dorelas of the Mud in Marsh Harbor is wanted for questioning on housebreaking, armed robbery, and breach of bail conditions. Dorelas, who is of Haitian descent, is also known to frequent the Colony Club area here in Freeport. He is described as 6 feet tall, slim-built, and black hair. Now, the second suspect is Wilnard Blank, also of the Mud in Marsh Harbor. He is accused of armed robbery. Blank stands at 6 feet tall. He's of slim build, black hair, dark brown complexion, and a gold tooth. If you know where Larry Dorelas or Wilnard Blank can be found tonight, you should contact 911, 919, or the nearest police station. Police are still continuing the probe into that shooting incident in Deadman's Reef, West Grand Bahama on Saturday that claimed the life of 50-year-old Christopher Outen. Tonight, a family member is speaking out on the tragic shooting and the level of crime in this country. As a husband, a child, and as the oldest of 8 living children, Christopher Outen was known for his welcoming personality, his infectious smile, and the love that he bestowed on all those who knew and loved him. Gospel recording artist and brother Simeon Outen says just 5 days before his untimely death, Christopher shared a testimony in church focusing on the book of Revelations.
We are really studying the book of Revelation, and at the end of the session, people would have an opportunity to ask questions or share their views. And he was pretty much encouraging us how to be ready for the coming of the Lord, and we should take our lives serious in the things of the Lord, generalizing what he was saying and not knowing he was really saying it to himself.
On Saturday, he spent his last hours on earth working with his father, not knowing that later that night, his life would be cut short by an apparent robbery gone wrong. Pastor Outen recalls receiving the phone call that will change his family's life forever.
I was at an event, obviously, and I just got right up and called my brother, one of the other brothers who I came over here at the church, and we just jumped in his car and we drove down to Deadman's Reef. And horrible scene to see someone that you have lived with all of your life, lifeless, and there's nothing that you could do. It was a dark time, still is. I haven't have to call my parents and to give them such disturbing news.
But as a close-knit family, Outen admits that this tragic turn of events has taken a toll on his parents and his brother's wife Anna, who, according to police reports, was on the scene when her husband was shot and killed.
I had a chance to talk to Anna the night of the shooting, and from then every day. She is doing okay, but she's coping as best as she can. She's trying to be strong for her children, their children. But you could see and feel the sorrow that she's obviously grieving. But Anna is also a woman of faith, and believe that her God is going to bring her through this challenging time.
As a pastor, Outen says the sudden loss of his brother has not changed nor shaken his family's faith in God, but he wants to leave this appeal to all young men.
Let's come up with some more creative ideas rather than having to take from someone. Let's use the gifts and the talents that you have and that we all have to make life better for ourselves.
50-year-old Christopher Outen was actively involved in the men's ministries at the family church and enjoyed singing from time to time. His family believes he is now singing with the angels because he is truly free. Stay with us. More news right after this.